Let me go out to Studio B. Harold D., criminal defense attorney and former New York State traffic court judge. Harold, what do you think about the idea of the prosecution basically shooting itself in the foot by even trying to prove that this kid was under the influence at the time?
Yeah, the test was irrelevant because it was done 12 hours later, so it's not even admissible. They didn't do any accident reconstruction, so they can't say he was reckless. You know, they have a very weak case, and but they have deep pockets, so they can go after anybody they want, James. You know, and Mr. Serrano, the 20-year-old plumber, he's got to come up with the money for these defense attorneys, and they make it very difficult. But it's a weak case, and I can't see how he could be convicted of either reckless or intoxicated. And there's no, it's not illegal to
assess the prosecutor in this case. He strikes me as young, somewhat inexperienced in his handling of a case where, as you say, there's not a lot of evidence, but there's a way you can go about arguing a tough case. Is he doing it, in your opinion?
Well, you know, they always give the young prosecutors the throwaway cases, cases that are not so great, but they put the defendant to the burden. And he doesn't have a case, James. I mean, as a presumption.
Well, I think he has a case. I just think he's making some major missteps. Like you said, there's really no way to prove that he was under the influence, so the fact that he's spending so much time on it, I think, undermines his credibility with the jury.
What about the presumption of innocence? What about guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? And there's no evidence that he was intoxicated. As he talks about, he drove recklessly. There's no evidence at all.
Well, there's certainly the evidence of his own statement. He's going 40 to 50 miles an hour, and he tries to make this turn that he's not prepared for. That's reckless, isn't it?
You know, James, we have 100 accidents every. You listen to the news in the morning, the traffic channels, traffic stations. We have 100 accidents every morning in New York City. We're going to lock all these people up? You know, because they rear-end somebody because they're not paying attention, they're putting their makeup on, they're on a cell phone. Yes, they're negligent, but is it criminal?
Well, you shouldn't be talking about Lisa Bloom like that, but I appreciate you joining us here. Harold D., criminal defense attorney, former New York traffic court judge. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.